Hey everybody, I'm Lala and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make Jamaican black cake, Christmas cake, however you know it as. I'm going to show you guys how I make mine, and then you can make it for yourself for this Christmas, okay? Actually, we don't only eat it for Christmas. At least I don't only eat it for Christmas. I make it for birthdays, I make it for whatever. If someone wants an order, I make it. So it's not only Christmas I make this for, but I'm gonna show you guys how I do it, okay? This is my secret recipe, you guys. Stay tuned. Okay, you guys, so I'm gonna be starting with my butter and my sugar. I'm gonna be beating those until they're well combined. I'll put all the measurements in the description box below of how much I use. Okay, and I'm using brown sugar. I'm not using a dark one. Using the, I think I would say this is a light one, but you can use whatever one you like, the dark one or the light one. Okay, so I'm just gonna be mixing this until it's well combined. I'm making a very small cake, you guys. I'm not making my actual sizes that I usually make. Today is Thursday, December the 19th. So I'm basically gonna be making my cakes next week for Christmas. I'm not making them like this week for next week because they won't last in my house. I'm just saying. I have to make it closer to the date and hide it. Yeah, I have to hide the cake. Okay, so after mixing it for a while, I'm just gonna scrape my bowl down to make sure everything is incorporated properly. Okay, so even though this is a small amount, I'm doing a 7-inch cake actually. So even though this is a small amount, you know, scrape your bowl down, okay? Then I'm gonna just mix it a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm gonna be start adding my eggs one at a time. Okay, so I'm here I'm actually using large eggs. Okay, right, incorporate that. Make sure that's mixed in completely before adding your next one. Okay, so here you'll notice that the mixture is getting a little bit like curdled, I would say. Yeah, it's getting a little bit thing, but don't worry about that. That's pretty much normal. It won't matter after you add the flour, okay? So don't panic if you see that, especially if you're making this for the first time. Don't worry about it, okay? So I'll be adding my other egg. Okay, mix that second one in until fully incorporated. Add my last egg and mix that in completely as well. Alright, so I'm gonna scrape my bowl down again. just to make sure all the egg is mixed in properly. Give that another mix. Okay, so now I'm gonna be setting this aside to move on to my dry ingredients. Alright, so now here I have my bowl with my sieve or my strainer or whatever you guys call it. You know what it is. I'm gonna be adding my flour to that. Make sure you sift your flours, you guys, because you don't want, when your cake is done, you see that big white ball of flour in your cake. It's like, I don't know, to me it's yucky, but you know, I'm not into eating the raw flour thing, so I'm sifting mine to make sure all of my lumps are gone. Alright, and then I'm gonna be adding my baking powder. My cinnamon. My nutmeg. My salt. And I'm just gonna give that a really good stir to combine everything. Alright, so I'm gonna bring back my egg, butter, and sugar mixture, and then I'm gonna be adding my flour to that in two increments, okay? Give that a really good stir. I've seen people use their beaters or their stand mixer for this part, but nah, I'm old school like that. I'm using my wooden spoon and my bowl and some elbow grease. Just mix that baby in. I don't know how it will turn out if you use the electric stuff, so I'm just sticking to what I know. But if you would rather use your electric whisk or your beaters or, you know, stand mixer, then I mean, go right ahead. I don't know if it will be any different. I've never tried it, and I don't think I'm going to. Maybe I will, or maybe not. We'll see. Alright, so I'm just giving that a good stir in. Just make sure there's no raw flour left over. Alright, and now I'm gonna blend my fruits. I have my soaked fruits here, and this is actually a fruit I soaked because I'm doing a tester on this cake. I made some grape wine, which is also good for drinking, but I wanted to start making my own wine because my bottle of wine that I usually use to soak my fruits usually cost about $15. Making my own wine, it cost me about $5. Yeah, so it cost me at least 3 times less. Yeah, it cost me like 3 times less. And I get more when I make my own. So I soaked my fruits with my wine, and I'm gonna bake my cake and have my husband test it. He's my tester here. So, and he will tell me the honest and brutal truth if it tastes good or if it doesn't taste good. So here, basically it was mostly fruits. I need some liquid to blend it up properly. So I'm just adding some from where I got my fruit from, where I soaked my fruit in, just taking some of that juice, and I'm gonna use it to continue blending my fruits, okay? I like to blend my fruits until it's like pureed. I don't want to feel any lumps. I don't want to see any raisins and anything. I just want it to be complete mush. If you like yours differently, then you blend yours according to your likes. If you like, I don't know. I'm personally like when everything is in unison. I don't like, yeah. Especially I'm using currants in mine. I'm using currants. So I'm using a mixture of raisins, sultana raisins, currants, which are really small and tiny black, I don't know what it is. It's currants, right? And also citrus peel. I'm using a mixed peel. So that's my mixture for my black cake. And so I'm just gonna blend it because those little currants are the hardest to blend in this. Even though it's soaked and everything, because they're so small, it's hard to blend. So basically what I'm doing, I'm putting my gloves on because I'm going to be going in on this. And then I'm going to be feeling the texture of the fruits with my fingers. If I still feel a little bit of lump, then I'm going to continue blending. If not, then I'm good to go. So here, I'm good to go. So because I've blended for a good time. So now all I have to do is add it to my flour and egg mixture. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour everything in here. Okay, pour everything in the bowl. Okay, make sure to scrape everything out of that blender. Okay, no wastage, you guys. Okay, this is expensive and delicious and everything, so you want to get all of that goodness. Okay, okay, so now I'm gonna be adding my extract. So I'm adding some almond extract. My vanilla extract. And my AGOSTURA bitters. I really couldn't pronounce that name before now, so AGOSTURA bitters. Make sure not to add more than what I specify for that size cake, because this is a strong flavoring, and trust me, it will overpower the rest of your cake. Okay, all right, so give that a really good stir. You need some elbow grease for this part. Just make sure you stir everything in to incorporate the fruits and the flour mixture. Okay. Scrape your bowl down if you need to make sure everything is incorporating properly. Scrape your spoon off as well, because all that flour mixture that you used to use that spoon to mix with, it will be stuck on the inside of the spoon, so make sure to scrape the spoon off as well. Okay, and then continue stirring until you're satisfied. Alright, so now I'm gonna be adding my brown in. Okay, I'm gonna be adding it like maybe like say 1 teaspoon at a time, and if I need more, then I'll add more. But you don't want to just pour the whole thing in there unless you've been doing this for a while, which what I usually do. But just for you guys, I'm using my measuring spoon. so you don't overdo it, because browning is bitter and it can come out in the final product of your cake, and you don't want it to be a bitter cake. Okay, so if you're okay with this color, then you stay right there, but I'm not okay with that color. I like my cake darker, so I'm adding another teaspoon of that. And yeah, so I'm just gonna mix that in, and if I'm still not happy, then I'll add some more. Okay, so give that a really good stir to combine and to incorporate that color in there. Okay, all right, and it's still a little bit too light for me, but I ran out of browning, so I came in with my new bottle here, and I'm adding a 1/3 teaspoon, and after I mixed this in, I was good with that color. Alright, so continue mixing to combine. You're almost done, don't worry. The longest part of this is the baking process. I like to bake mine on low, so my oven is actually preheating to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and yeah, I bake mine for really long time, so make sure you have some time before you start doing this. Okay, make sure you have hours. Yeah, make sure you have hours. I like to bake mine low and slow because my cake comes out nice and moist, and it's not dry around the edges or anywhere in there is dry. It's just good. Okay, so I'm just tasting it. So this is my cake, y'all, so yes, I dip my finger in there. I'm tasting it just to make sure the alcohol level in there is good and make sure nothing is missing. Okay, so here I have my 7-inch baking pan. This is my 7x3 baking pan, and I'll be greasing the bottom and the sides of this to make sure my cake doesn't stick when it's time to come out of that pan. Okay, make sure to grease it really well. Okay, this is gonna yield a dense cake, you guys, so if you're not a dense cake type of person, then I'll stay clear of this recipe, because it is a dense cake. With all that fruit, you don't have any other liquid but the fruit and the wine in there, so yeah, it will yield a dense cake. Okay, this is a rich wine cake, I would say. Rich rum cake, black cake, however you call it, it's rich, so that's pretty much what you're gonna be getting from there. If you're making a bigger batch, make sure you leave at least 1/4 to a 1/2 inch or 1 inch at the top, because this cake will rise in the oven. It will rise, but then after you take it out, it will go down. But in order for it not to float over in your oven, I would say leave some room at the top. Okay, alright, so give that a tap just to release any air bubbles and to level off that top. Okay, shake it, jiggle it, do whatever you want with it just to get that top level. Alright, so I'm gonna be baking mine off and at 300 degrees for an hour and a half. Yes, you guys, so here I have my grape wine, my homemade grape wine, you guys. That recipe will be coming soon, and I have some white rum. This is my Ray and Nephew rum. Yes, it's expensive as hell, you guys. It's so expensive, but you can't cheap out on this type of cake. Okay, it has to be good. So I'm using about like a 1/4 cup of my wine, and I'm just gonna be using a little dab, maybe like the cover full of rum. Not too much, because this already has wine in there and it does come out in the final product. So yeah, this is just my little mixture that I'm gonna use to wet my cake with. Okay, so now my cake is done. Here it is, and it looks good and it's done. I actually bake it 1.5 hours, completely 1.5 hours, not 1 and 5 minutes or nothing like that. But I'm just gonna use that mixture with a brush. I actually poked the middle just to show you guys that it's actually done. Once it comes out clean, you're good to go. And I'm going to be using my pastry brush just to wet the top of it. I've seen people use the spray bottle method. I like that method. I'm going to do it next time, but I didn't have a bottle, so I'm using my brush here just to wet the top. Okay, after you're done that, just let that sit and soak in. You can go back in again until that mixture is finished. Okay, so I'm gonna let mine rest. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you come back for the next one. I'll see you soon. Bye.